Hello everyone, it is the Afro Avenger. With the Grammys being in a couple days, I figured I'd give my take on some of the bigger nominations happening this year. The ones who are in the lead are Kendrick Lamar and Taylor Swift with the majority of the consecutive nominations in many of the major categories. So why don't we take a look at some of these, shall we? With Record of the Year, we have Really Love by D'Angelo and the Vanguard from the album Black Messiah, Uptown Funk by Mark Ronson featuring Bruno Mars from the album Uptown Special, Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran from the album Multiply, Blank Space by Taylor Swift from the album 1989, and finally Can't Feel My Face by The Weeknd from the album Beauty Behind the Madness. Now, already we have some big contenders with Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars' track that was such a popular hit, I swear you couldn't go anywhere or turn on the radio for 5 minutes without hearing it. This is a little off topic, but when I first heard the song, I loved it immediately, but it oversaturated the radios for so long and you couldn't go anywhere without hearing it. Parades, grocery stores, even church. Yes, church. Over time, it kind of lost its initial touch with me. Regardless, it was a huge hit all the same, as was many of these other records. The only record nominated that really sticks out among these is Really Love by D'Angelo and the Vanguard. However, if you've listened to this track or the album it's from, it's really not that hard to see why it was nominated. It's an incredible track and certainly deserves to be up here. Unfortunately, with a lot of these other players having been the top dogs last year, it's really difficult seeing this record going very far here. I would say that the winner will more than likely be Uptown Funk, not just because of how popular it was or is, but because of it just being a great song in general. It shows its roots proudly with that 80s pop funk swagger made popular by the likes of Prince or Rick James. If not that record, then probably Blank Space, since Taylor Swift's been kind of riding a huge wave since late 2014. I would be pleasantly shocked, though, if either D'Angelo or The Weeknd took this one. Now on to the big category, and probably the most important one for me personally, Album of the Year. We have Sound and Color by Alabama Shakes, To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar, Traveler by Chris Stapleton, 1989 by Taylor Swift, and Beauty Behind the Madness by The Weeknd. I'm just going to call it right now. It's going to come down to either To Pimp a Butterfly or 1989. I'm sorry, but it's true. It was, which is really unfortunate for some of these other albums. I listened to Chris Stapleton's Traveler, and it was actually a really great, well put together LP. It was widely regarded as the best country album in a long while. But in the face of To Pimp a Butterfly in 1989, or even Beauty Behind the Madness, it doesn't stand a chance. Country is so polarizing with so many people, and among some of these more mainstream albums, it doesn't hold a candle, sadly enough. However, I'm almost 98% sure that To Pimp a Butterfly will pull it off, and that's the album that I'm hoping will win. I don't really want to go into detail about the album since I reviewed it already, and you can watch it. You can watch that if you want more in-depth discussion on it. But it's perhaps one of the most culturally important hip-hop albums in a long while, and it was so highly regarded that it seems like Kendrick really can be referred to as King Kendrick. It's a super cohesive album and will go down as a classic within the next several years, no doubt. But let's talk about some of the others. If for any reason that neither To Pimp a Butterfly or 1989 don't win, my next pick would definitely be Sound and Color, an album I've been listening to quite frequently since it was released. It's a great blend of southern rock and garage rock with elements of indie rock and several tinges of punk rock. Really great album, but again, Alabama Shakes isn't as well known as people like Kendrick or Taylor or The Weeknd. I truly enjoyed all of these albums, that goes without saying, but Kendrick's album will almost certainly come out on top over the others, mainly because of its pure influence and how it blended so many styles of music so flawlessly while still retaining the attitude and flavor of a hip-hop album. After Album of the Year is Song of the Year. Many people seem to get Song of the Year and Record of the Year confused. Record is more about how good or how much critics enjoyed the record as well as its artistic value, while Song is more about how well the album did commercially and how well it charted. So with Song of the Year we have Alright by Kendrick Lamar from To Pimp a Butterfly, Blank Space Again by Taylor Swift from 1989, Girl Crush by Little Big Town from the album Painkiller, See You Again by Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth from the soundtrack of the film Furious 7, and Thinking Out Loud Again by Ed Sheeran from Multiply. Girl Crush is kind of in the same boat as Chris Stapleton's album with it being a country song and all, and I'm not saying that the only reason it wouldn't win is because it's a country song or anything. Again, country is a polarizing genre. It would be the same if, a metal song were nominated for this category. There's been a lot of talk surrounding this song with people suggesting that it's about a lesbian relationship, even though it's not, but people still want to imagine that it's talking about a lesbian relationship. I don't have a problem with that, of course. Compared to the songs, compared to songs like All Right or Thinking Out Loud, though, I don't think it stands a chance, simply because those songs are much more popular. Again, Song of the Year deals more with how popular a song was. I have a feeling that either those two songs or Blank Space will take this category. I was more impartial to See You Again, to be honest. I didn't really care for it, but I'm rooting for All Right, of course. I was jamming that song all of last year. However, in terms of sales and everything, Blank Space will most likely take this one. Now we come to Best New Artist. Here we have Courtney Barnett, an indie rock artist, James Bay, another indie rock artist, Sam Hunt, a country artist, Tori Kelly, an R&B pop artist, and Meghan Trainor, a blue-eyed soul pop artist. I'm going to be absolutely blunt with this one. I want Courtney Barnett to win, but I'm almost certain that Meghan Trainor will steal this one with little to no opposition. I liked her album title, but I really enjoyed Courtney's album. Sometimes I sit and think, and sometimes I just sit. The problem is that Courtney Barnett is hardly known by the mainstream audience at all. That's going to murder her chances taking this category, despite her having a better album, in my opinion. I have to be honest, I haven't heard anything by any of the other nominees, and I need to get on that, but I've been listening to Courtney for quite a couple of months, and I really enjoyed the work that she put out last year. It has that punk, psychedelic rock flair that really adds the cherry on top of a really cool indie rock album. While Meghan's album, albeit really catchy and fun, was filled with a lot of female stereotypes and counterintuitive themes that didn't sit too well with me. Check out songs like Dear Future Husband and All About That Bass, and you'll see what I mean. Aside from that, I wouldn't even really call Meghan Trainor a new artist. We've known about her since the summer of 2014. I guess it's because her album wasn't released until early last year, but it is what it is. Now to two categories that I personally want to touch on: Best Rap Song and Best Rap Album. For the songs, we have All Day by Kanye West featuring Theophilus London, Alan Kingdom, and Paul McCartney, All Right by Kendrick Lamar, Energy by Drake, Glory by Common and John Legend, and Trap Queen by Fetty Wap. Now, for me, it's a tie between All Right and All Day. I've been jamming both of those tracks all last year evenly. Now, I would say that Glory could steal this category simply because of its positive message, but that would be an asinine statement because All Right also has a very positive message. Trap Queen, Energy, and All Day are all bangers, as is All Right, and for a lot of people, bangers are all that matter. Between those four, though, I'm pulling for All Right first, and if not All Right, All Day second. And now we have Best Rap Album. So many great contenders, but only one can take it. We have 2014 Forest Hills Drive by J. Cole, Compton by Dr. Dre, If You're Reading This It's Too Late by Drake, To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar, and The Pink Print by Nicki Minaj. Now, don't hate me, but I actually haven't gotten around to listening to Compton as of yet, but I've heard some pretty good things about it. It brought newer artists like Anderson .Paak to higher prominence, and I just reviewed his album Malibu, which was incredible, by the way. But with these 5 albums, it's honestly going to be a toss-up between To Pimp a Butterfly and 2014 Forest Hills Drive for me. Of course, I would expect To Pimp a Butterfly would win this category, no sweat, but 2014 Forest Hills Drive was also an incredible album released later in 2014, and people have been comparing J. Cole and Kendrick for a good while now. Rumor has it that they're even working on a collab album right now, and it might drop this month. But I can only imagine the amount of backlash the Grammys will get should Kendrick not win this category or Album of the Year, and I'll talk about that again in a bit. But for this category, it has to be either of those two. If You're Reading This It's Too Late was a pretty good LP/mixtape, but nowhere near as good as those two. It was actually rather cohesive when it came to more of the personal tracks on it, but those other two albums were cohesive from the beginning to the end. Now, The Pink Print was surprisingly good. It showed that Nicki has improved and definitely deserves the title of a rapper. You really can't judge the album just for having Anaconda on it. Everything else really makes up for it, especially when it comes to tracks like Want Some More, Pills and Potions, and Four Door Ventador. But yeah, I'm hoping Kendrick takes this one too, but I wouldn't be super mad if J. Cole took it either. Both albums are really great, and they both have a fair shot. Now, I'll admit there was quite a bit of bias within this video. Yes, I was rooting for Kendrick throughout almost all of this video, but I can't express this sentiment enough. Kendrick put out an undeniably incredible work of art. I don't understand how people can still say that it's not a good album or that Kendrick isn't a good rapper. Sure, the album doesn't have a whole lot of replay value with all the skits thrown inside of the songs and stuff, but as one full album from beginning to end, it's a masterpiece of an LP. Now, about the backlash, I know for certain that if Kendrick doesn't at least win Album of the Year and Best Rap Album, there will be some trouble for the Grammys. Yes, I'm pulling for Kendrick in a lot of these, but I do realize that many of the other albums and songs nominated are very well done, and all the ones I listened to I enjoyed, some more than others, but enjoyed nonetheless. I can't lie though, I might get a little salty if Kendrick doesn't win those specific categories, but that'll only be for a moment. We all have to realize that Grammys aren't a measuring stick for artistry, nor should they be. Yes, we all love to point out that so-and-so has X amount of Grammy Awards, but Grammys are really more of a popularity contest. Ever so often, they'll throw in some more underground type nominees such as Courtney Barnett or Alabama Shakes in order to dispel the idea that they don't care about those indie artists who put out incredible albums, but they get overlooked by a subpar album that was just really popular. But almost 9 times out of 10 they never win, and lose to more popular acts anyways. Beck's win for Album of the Year last year was really a shock, but he did make an immensely impressive album in Morning Phase, and certainly deserved the win. Some albums that I personally thought should have been nominated were I Love You Honey Bear by Father John Misty, I Don't Like Shit I Don't Go Outside by Earl Sweatshirt, Summertime '06 by Vince Staples, Goon by Tobias Jesso Jr., Carrie and Lowell by Sufjan Stevens, Tetsuo and Youth by Lupe Fiasco, At Long Last ASAP by A$AP Rocky, Before the Money by Joey Badass, Panda Bear Meets the Grim Reaper by Panda Bear, What a Terrible World, What a Wonderful World by The Decemberists, Mr. Wonderful by Action Bronson, and Cherry Bomb by Tyler the Creator. Now, I realize that many of these albums are either in the alternative whatever category or the indie whatever category, which is mainly why they didn't make it, but many of these albums absolutely blew me away, and many of them were just so overlooked. However, I'm really glad to see both Björk and Tame Impala nominated for Best Alternative Music Album for Volnicura and Currents respectively, along with Alabama Shakes for Sound and Color. Jamie XX has been nominated for Best Dance/Electric Album with his LP In Color, but neither Panda Bear or Beach House are anywhere to be seen, not even Björk or Grimes. I would have noted albums such as Good AM by Mac Miller, 90059 by J Rock, and The Incredible True Story by Logic, but unfortunately those albums came out too late in the year. Perhaps next year. Anyways, that does it for this video. If you enjoyed, please hit that like button and also subscribe if you want to see more. And also let me know what you think. Are there any albums or songs that were nominated that you don't think should have been nominated, or were there any albums or songs that you think should have been nominated that weren't? Just leave a comment down below and let us all know. So anyways, I will see you all in the next video. So long.